It is a total 100% collapse. Pride Month is gone, deleted, removed. Where did it go? Well, it turns out the data shows that the marketplace, society itself, has already abandoned everything June. Today, we'll tell you why that is and the effect it's having on entertainment companies as they pull funding and the parades go bankrupt. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel that continues to change hearts and minds simply by telling the truth with a capital T every single time. It's a pleasure, as always, as we endeavor to bring you entertainment news. And today, that's just what we plan to do. While we'll give you no assessment as to the morals or ethics or what you should do as grown-ups when it comes to pride, we will tell you why everything is on the line, the whole movement is collapsing, and entertainment companies are abandoning the virtues they just told you they would never cease promoting just months ago. Well, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. We've just been covering the collapse of Pride Month, and whatever you think about these sorts of things, we're not here to be your nannies. We're not here to tell you what to believe. We're simply here to cover the news, especially when it comes to entertainment and entertainment companies. And guess what? They have abandoned Pride Month. Let's talk about it. First of all, you can see that the familiar faces are out yet again. Here in 2026, Kamala Harris, former candidate for president, says, "Pride is joy, pride is courage, pride is a celebration, and pride is the ongoing fight to ensure every person can live as their authentic self." There you go. So there's Kamala, she's in. But the companies, not so much. If we go to Fox News, you can see the NFL's main social media accounts remained silent about Pride Month on its first day, and we recently ran through the companies that remained silent. It included Disney, it included Microsoft, it included basically Universal. I mean, every company you can imagine in entertainment, the Star Wars account, the Marvel account, nobody was putting on the colors of the logos as you remember. And it's not going unnoticed. How so? Well, this article's behind a paywall, but we can see as much as we need, and so I've actually decided to use it. We rarely do this kind of thing, but NorthJersey.com, Jim Beckerman gives us just enough that I think it's important to read it. Pride, once filled with joy, is changing. Here are the new realities. It says Montclair's Pride Festival, kneecapped by a $100,000 loss of corporate funds, has had to be postponed from June 13th to August 1st, organizers have announced. Princeton's Pride Parade will go on June 13th, but with the loss of 60 to 75% of its corporate backing. New York Pride, with its famed annual parade and street festival June 28th, reportedly has lost some $500,000 in sponsorship. So everywhere you look, the money is being pulled from these things. And how bad is it for the Pride organizers? Well, this is something you don't expect to see, I promise you. Phoenix Pride, support, engage, empower, says this. Phoenix Pride, and this literally just came out on June 1st. Phoenix Pride has made the incredibly difficult decision to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection as part of a financial restructuring process aimed at preserving the future of our organization. And folks, you can see it here. It goes on to talk about all of this. It says Phoenix Pride intends to continue serving the community throughout this process while working closely with legal and financial advisors to create a sustainable future. June 1st, announcing bankruptcy. Now, why would that happen, folks? Because the corporations have pulled out, most likely, from all of these things. I mean, hugely. But what if I told you it's not just the corporations, it's not just entertainment. Entertainment companies are reacting to you. What do I mean? Check the Google Trends. Simply searching for the word pride. And again, we're not here to tell you, folks, what to do with your time. We're not here to tell you what to believe when it comes to your bedroom and what you do there. No. We protect kids, but grown-ups, you do whatever you want to do. Here's the deal, though. If we go back to 2022, right here, 2022, you can see it maxed out on this graph at 93%. In 2023, searches for Pride Month had dropped 4 points to 89. In 2024, before the Orange Man came and wreaked havoc, apparently, in the minds of so many, this had dropped to 69 points on the chart there. And in 2025, it had dropped all the way down to 66. Man, these are strange numbers in this. But continue with me, folks. Today, we do not have the June numbers like we can see before, but I can tell you that it's on the downward trend again. If we look at the April to March lead up, 28%. If we go back in time to April through March, 30%. So a two basis point drop. And that means probably this 66 is going to turn into 64, 62, or even as low as 60 this year, especially with so many of these organizations dropping, flopping, and going down. The only people who are holding it up, Pride Month that is, apparently sports teams and the government leaders in blue cities. For example, Milwaukee leaders kick off Pride Month at courthouse with ceremony raising Intersex Progress Pride flag. And there you can see the name of that flag. Guys, girls, I think what we're watching here is that this has turned into essentially, and if we click on the buttons here, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. This is essentially now a Democrat Party month celebration. It's amorphous. It's just, but the marketplace has already decided, the public has already gone, the Google searches show that, and the corporations, I think, are reacting to the lack of interest out of the audience. And, there's too much cost if nobody cares anymore. So panel, and I'll start with you, Carol. What do you make of just the change, how rapid society has shifted? Because 3 years ago, every company changed their logos. 3 years ago, every company weighed in, and it's crickets 3 years later.
I have so much to say on this topic.
Please.
So I'll try and keep it concise. I think like several of us and people in the chat, I grew up in the 80s where if you said that you were gay, they sent you to a special facility and they shocked it out of you, right? And
right, which we would not advocate for ever.
Yeah. No, of course not. And so we
never.
We grew up learning about these stories, and when the original movement for I'll call them Rainbow Squad came out, a lot of people were behind it because, I think people wanting to find love and be with somebody that they genuinely cared about and who cared about them was something that we could all get behind. And one of the things that happened is because this was such a socially popular thing to support, it got a lot of power. And if there's one thing I know about when things get power, they also get narcissists in them because they want to abuse that power.
Yep.
So these types of individuals basically hijacked the whole movement and kind of took it over and manipulated it in order to get, I don't want to say social clout, that's not the right word, but they would use it to coerce people into doing things that they didn't like.
And do you think too, Carol, that were these the same people who were behind making it be kind of a hedonistic thing where it was just, you had this, grotesque level of display of whatever in front of kids on sidewalks?
Yeah, the inappropriateness, right?
Yeah.
Because they were like, look, we're just being ourselves, and myself is wanting to expose myself in public where children are there. I mean, we've all seen the pictures, right? And I will never forget when we had, we'll call it story time, right? And I was the inappropriate teacher because when we had story time for people that like to wear makeup and dresses that don't normally wear makeup and dresses, me trying to keep this PG, I was like, can we do it for the people that like to take their clothes off on a pole? Because I think that would be fair, right? And they were kind of like, no, that's not appropriate. And I was like, well,
you're always the one. You're the one in the meeting that everybody goes, here comes Carol.
Yeah, so she's going to open her mouth and she's going to say things. But I was like, the one's not appropriate and the other one's not appropriate either. They both need to not be here, right?
Darn you and your logic.
Yeah, and the reason people didn't want to push back on this new we'll call it a trend, right? This trend was because they didn't want to get labeled, right? At one point, we were like, we didn't want to get labeled, we didn't want to be seen as wrong, we wanted to let people be the way that they wanted to be. But when that space started moving further into the children's space, that's when we started seeing more pushback. And California is still like notoriously suffering for this, like to the point where they'll just take your children, right? That's called kidnapping, last I checked, but I don't live in California. So
which is also why people with any sense are leaving California, as fast as they can.
Yeah, and I remember talking to one person because at one point I guess you could call me an ally, but when they started getting like really like into their deep cray-cray, I was like, no, I can't associate with you, which is what happened to a lot of people. I told one of them, I was like, look, I can't help you because if I come and try and advocate for the right thing, I will be attacked, right? You have to start regulating yourselves from within. And because they never had like a social economic dogma to follow, right? It was just Wild West for them. And anytime people within them would start to advocate against some of the inappropriate behavior, I mentioned narcissists before. The narcissists have a special, or not special, but they have an argument pattern that they'll use where they turn everything against you and make everything your fault, blah, blah, blah. We've all had this. And so they were doing that to themselves. And so we started seeing a lot more infighting. And on the rise of people trying to abuse this group, because that's ultimately what it was, we started seeing people like, predators moving in and forcing themselves on other individuals. Like, I think we've all heard about like the gay males that will push themselves onto married women. We had a wonderful discussion about that 2 weeks ago. But there's also, the reverse. Like, I will be honest with you, I have been touched inappropriately by a lesbian without my consent. And when I was like, whoa, not okay, she was like, well, we're both women, so it's fine. I was like, no, it's not. It's just not. But then that's the thing, that's the kind of behavior that they try and do, and they don't like getting checked. But now we have this wonderful group that I'm particularly fond of. It's called Gays Against Groomers. So anytime there's a pride parade that shows up, they're there too, being like, what's up? We're here to chill with you. Make sure that you stay dressed in front of children. Let's all have a good time. Right?
Yeah, let's talk about that too, that aspect, because Disney has modified the way that they handle this. So you all know how Disney acted in the last 5 years. This year, and under the new CEO, Josh D'Amaro, but likely under the direction of Wall Street, because Wall Street's been there before him in terms of being totally in charge. I think things have been reversed even before Bob Iger left. You can see Disneyland After Dark Pride Night, June 16th and 18th. But what's the trick here, folks? It's after dark. It's late. It's less likely that you'll have kids. And so I think Disney is trying to very quietly still have Pride Night in California, not say anything about it on social media, and make it late enough that they don't have to worry as much about the kids being there and the images. Because, and folks, I'm not trying to take a position on this. I'm trying to tell you that the companies, I think, are feeling now, hey, we don't want to be associated with certain aspects of this because we will look terribly on social media the next day. So Disney doesn't want to have what you're talking about, Caro, be associated with Mickey Mouse. And so they're trying now to thread the needle. I don't even know how much longer this lasts. I don't know that Disney continues this, in the years to come.
Out that event is also marketed as appropriate for all ages, even though
it is. Yep.
Evening event. So
the last thing I want to circle back on, and then I'll let the rest of the panel touch in, is that now, if we remember what happened in the 80s, where if we found out that you were gay, you were immediately socially ostracized. And so as we moved into trying to be socially accepted, we've now moved right back into being socially ostracized because of the people that have been in this group. And my heart goes out to the people who generally just want to live their lives, right? But because now they can't, because they've had these loud individuals basically taint everything that they want to be, which is live peacefully. That's really it. All right, and I'm done. Thank you.
All right, panel, hop in. It's just amazing to me to see the switch in society over just the last 3 years. I mean, this was everywhere. And if you were against it, you were completely and totally ostracized, which is a 180 from what Caro was talking about. And this change happened in just no time.
We covered this last year on that Park Place quite a lot, in that all of the companies last year were suddenly not changing their profile pictures anymore. Everybody but Xbox, Microsoft and Xbox were still doing it. But I think what's starting to happen is the TQ Plus has started to push a lot of people away from celebrating Pride. And a lot of, I grew up doing theater, so I have a lot of friends who are gay, and a lot of them distance themselves from Pride now as well because they don't like what it's become. They don't like that it's become this corporatized event. They don't like that it's become associated with the TQ Plus because a lot of them are just trying to live their lives in peace and love and live and just, exist. And they don't want it to be this in-your-face thing, like almost daring you to have a problem with it. I was talking to a friend of mine who's super, super gay, and I said to him, Lorne Connor, you have to know that, it's not the same as it was. And he was like, I know, Marv, I know. So,
Lauren's going to have a lot to say about that.
Okay. Lauren's not gay.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he's
go ahead, Jonas.
Let's talk about the trajectory on all of this. I'm a Christian, and I have a series on YouTube that I put out originally to let everybody know that Disney is not the company that it used to be. And somewhere in there, it became kind of a moot point because everybody figured out that Disney is not what Walt founded. So I seem to remember in 2015 or 2016, we would have things where stuff would come up and there would be a pride parade or whatever, and you could just not go to it. As much as I don't think that's compatible with a Christian lifestyle, I know that's already made some people angry by me even pointing that out. It wasn't really an issue until the Obama administration started to do this thing where they said, no, we're going to say who is and is not allowed in your bathroom and who you cannot keep out of your bathroom. So that is the moment. I think they had about 4 years where it reached, I want to say, this peak moment where everyone was like, okay, we'll be polite. And then you get to 2020, and then so much happened on let's be polite that everyone said, nope, we're not doing this anymore. And the cultural threshold for politeness went away very quickly. Because I think the COVID situation reduced the cultural threshold for what is okay, and all of a sudden we're allowed to speak. Obviously, Elon Musk buying Twitter put us in a situation where free speech is allowed to be out there, and I can say I don't care what my neighbor does from a citizen standpoint. Maybe as a Christian, I would want to evangelize to them, but this is the kind of thing where everyone eventually was allowed to say, no, this is actually not okay. You've set the temperature in the water in a way that is not okay for everybody. So I'm going to go do my own thing over here and you stay away from it. And that was an unacceptable opinion. And now it's an acceptable opinion. So when all these NFL league, franchises or whatever want to come out, and was it the Nashville Predators got owned on social media because they put the Progress Pride flag over the Predators logo, and they said, oh, you're literally doing, I'm not going to say it on this channel because we're trying to be cool with YouTube on this channel, but they got owned. And I think that's fine because people are allowed to say, I don't like this. I don't want this near the things that I'm doing. And everyone is allowed to coexist in peace, but we don't have to agree with everybody. And I think that is great for America.
Yeah, Flash, why do you think it's the sports teams? It's like every sports team is doing this.
Yeah, the NFL's doing it a lot as well. Not all the teams, though, but a few of them. And what's great is on Elon Musk X, you can mock them ruthlessly, as many are doing. Like any post I see with the Pride Month stuff, people are in the comments just ripping them apart. And I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, I saw that the Giants and the Yankees were both doing that, and I said to myself, well, that tracks.
This is the thing, though, that I was shocked before we looked this up. The fact that we're seeing this kind of decline in the interest, because this is measuring all Google searches, the word pride, period. And year after year, and preceding the return of President Trump, the searches for pride are down. The interest level is down, and it's down like 30%. And it seems to be actually continuing and maybe even accelerating. So I find that interesting. And I wonder if these things had not turned into sort of hedonistic displays where you had naked people riding bicycles, where you had kids being exposed to things they shouldn't be exposed to, whether it's heterosexual, whether it's not. You get the idea, folks. I wonder, did this movement dramatically misplay and go too far in certain areas, and did that destroy it? But I think right now, as I'm looking at it, I don't think this is going to recover. Pride comes before the fall, right? And apparently the fall is here for this movement. And how they get this back again, I don't think it's going to take place, at least not for decades. The entertainment companies are feeling it. And that's why they're pulling out, folks. Don't let them trick you, because the lowest resolution way of explaining this away is, darn it, the orange man is oppressing us. That's not the case. This is the public at large saying, no way, Jose, we're done with this one. The Hollyweirds don't understand how it is we do what we do, bringing you video after video every single day of the utmost highest excellence and quality. But folks, we do it because of you. We appreciate you. You are seen and heard here on the Pro Channel. Make your voices heard, folks, by doing one last thing before we say goodbye for a short time. Consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you know what? That notification bell, click it and stick it to the algorithms. Also, drop a comment down below and let us know your thoughts. And don't forget, folks, We've got even more content on the way. If you'd like to become a member, it's just the price of a soda per month, and you'll gain access to all kinds of exclusive content beyond what the public sees, including archival footage of the pro show that goes away after just a few days from its public release. Folks, we hope we get the honor of spending time with you again soon, and until then, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.